Very good morning to all my dear students. Welcome to St. Angeles Public School Bagpat online economics classes. As you know that we are working from our home. So my dear student, today we are going to discuss again chapter number 3, theory of demand. As you know that in my previous video we have discussed movement along the demand curve or change in quantity demanded. But today we will discuss shift in demand curve. Shift in demand curve, or you can say change in demand. See here, chapter number 3, theory of demand. Theory of demand. See, shift in demand curve, or you can say change in demand. Change in demand. See, shift in demand curve means change in demand. See, what is the definition of this? When demand of a commodity, demand of a commodity changes due to change in any factor, any factor, and price of given commodity remains constant, remains constant. It is known as change in demand. Change in demand. And you can say like this, it is expressed as shifting in demand curve. It is present in as shift in demand curve. Now this is the definition of shift in demand curve or change in demand. When demand of a commodity changes due to change in any factor, due to change in any factor, and price of given commodity remain constant, price of given commodity remains constant, it is known as change in demand, and it is expressed as a means as a shift in as a shift in demand curve, as a shift in you can write here as a shift in demand curve. Now this is the definition of shift in demand or change in demand. See, please try to understand with the help of this function. See, dx is equal to f px pr cy t ex po sw dy. See, now as you know that this is demand of a commodity. This is demand of a commodity. Demand of a commodity. F means functional relationship. Functional relationship. And see, this is a price of given commodity. Price of given commodity. See, and these are other factors. These are other factors means PR, CY, T, EX, PO, SW, DY. These are other factors. Other factors. Now what is definition? See, when demand of a commodity, changes due to change in any factor. Change in any factor means change in any other factor. Change in any other factor. Change in any other factor, and price of means price of given commodity remains constant, means this price of given commodity, this because as you know that this is a price of given commodity, so this remains constant, it means that demand of given commodity means, or you can say that these factor means PR, CY, T, EX, PO, SW, DY will affect demand of a commodity, but price of given commodity remains constant. So this price of given commodity will not affect demand of a commodity because it remains constant. I hope all of you are understanding. Means these factors, according to this definition, these factors will affect demand of a commodity, but this factor means price of given commodity will not affect demand of a given commodity. See, next point is, it is expressed as a shift in demand. We will later we will discuss with the help of diagonal representation. But see, law of demand doesn't exist, you can say does not exist in it, means a shifting demand curve does not follow law of demand. You can say law of demand does not exist in it. What do you mean by law of demand? Law of demand means keeping other. Law of demand states that or you can say keeping other factors constant. Law of demand states that the inverse relationship between demand of given commodity and price of given commodity, means you can say like this. Law of demand says that these factor will remain constant, and demand of a commodity is affected by change in price of given commodity only, and these factor remain constant. But now this definition is saying that opposite of law of demand, means this definition is saying that opposite of law of demand. Means these factor will change, and you can say the demand of a commodity means is affected by change in these factor, and price of given commodity remains constant. But law of demand says that these factor will remain constant, and price of given commodity will affect demand of a commodity. See, again I am repeating, listen carefully. This definition means this definition says that these factors will change, and this factor will remain constant. This definition says that means these factors will change and this factor will remain constant. What does it mean? It means these factors will affect demand of a commodity, but this factor will not affect demand of a commodity because it remains constant. See, law means this is the explanation according to this definition, but law of demand says that these factors will remain constant, and this factor will change. Means these factors will not affect demand of a commodity, and this factor will affect demand of a commodity. Means this definition is the opposite reaction of, means this definition is opposite reaction of law of demand. So we can say like this, law of demand does not exist in it. I hope definition is clear. See, please pause the video and note down this. See, next, reasons for shift in demand curve. Demand curve. See, first reason, change in price of substitute good. Change in price of substitute good. After this, next will be change in price of complementary good. Change in price of complementary good. Change in price of complementary good. Third, change in income of consumer. Change in income of the consumer. Now this is third reason. Fourth reason is change in taste and preferences of the consumer. Now fifth is change in expectation. Change in expectation about future price. Now fifth reason is change in season and weather. Next, this is sixth reason. Seventh reason, change in population. Now means these are the reasons for shifting demand curve. As you know that, see here again, please try to learn it, not try to cram it. See, F is equal to Px, Pr, Cy, T, Ex, P0, SW, dy. And you know that this definition says that demand of a commodity will demand of a commodity is affected by these factors. Is affected by change in these factors. Means this factor remains constant. So demand of a commodity is not affected by price of given commodity. See, so there means this process will be considered as a shifting demand curve. See, so for reasons for shifting demand curve, change in price of substitute good. See, PR means, you know that means demand of a commodity is affected by change in price of related goods, and related goods are two types. First, substitute goods, and second, complementary good. So see here, change in price of substitute good. Next, change in price of complementary good. Now this is done. Same. CY means consumer income. Change in income of the consumer. Next, T, change in taste and preferences of the consumer. I hope this is clear. See, EX, change in expectation about future price. I hope this is also clear. See, next, change in season and weather. See, SW, change in season and weather. After this, PU, change in population. And then after, DY, see it, change in distribution of income. Change in distribution of income, distribution of income. So I hope all of you have understood, my dear students. These factors will change. These factors will change, and demand of a community is affected by changing these factors. Changing these factors